You've been lied to? What you're seeing in the media, what your friends are telling you, and even what you're hearing from women themselves, it's all a lie. The narrative they've sold you is one of equality, mutual respect, and the promise of fulfilling relationships where both partners are equally invested. But that's not what's really happening. The reality? Modern women are living in a delusion, and it's shaping how they view themselves and their relationships with men. And the consequences of this delusion, they're bigger than you think, affecting not only your personal happiness, but your confidence, your sense of purpose, and even your financial and emotional well-being. For years, men have been told to just play nice, be the providers, the emotional support, the fixers. But when the rules of the game are rigged against you, how can you ever win? It's time to wake up. This isn't just a small problem. It's a massive shift in the dynamics of modern relationships. And if you don't recognize it, you're setting yourself up for heartache. Men are being left frustrated, disillusioned, and unsure of where to turn. But what if the truth is something completely different from what you've been led to believe? Stick around. This is the harsh reality no one wants to talk about, and it's time to face it head-on. We've all been told the same story. Women are equal to men in every way. They can be independent, successful, and in control of their own destiny. Society pushes the idea that women have the same opportunities, rights, and responsibilities as men. And while this narrative sounds empowering, it's not the full picture. Because when it comes to relationships, a huge gap exists between the idea of gender equality and the reality of modern dating. Men are told that equality means everything, should be shared responsibilities, emotional labor, financial burdens, but that's not what happens when it comes to relationships. Sure, women might demand to be seen as equals in the workplace, in politics, and in society. But when it comes to their personal lives, many still expect men to fill traditional roles. You know the ones: the protector, the provider, the emotional support. You're expected to be the one who works long hours, shoulders the financial burden, and always steps up when needed. Yet somehow, you're not supposed to expect the same level of effort or sacrifice in return. This double standard leaves men feeling stuck. The world tells you that women are empowered and should have the same opportunities as men. But in the very relationships you're investing in, you're treated like an outdated relic of an old gender paradigm. Women want the freedom to pursue their ambitions, but then expect men to play the traditional role they still secretly desire. This contradiction creates confusion and disillusionment. Men who buy into this trap spend years bending over backwards, trying to meet these conflicting expectations. And they wake up one day realizing they've sacrificed their own happiness in the process. They've put their goals on hold, neglected their own needs, and left their own worth unrecognized. Don't let that be you. The illusion of equality isn't just unfair, it's setting you up for failure. Modern women are living with an unrealistic sense of entitlement. This princess syndrome is spreading faster than ever, and it's wreaking havoc on relationships. The idea is simple. Women expect to be treated like royalty without having to put in the work. They want the chivalry, the lavish gifts, the constant emotional support, but when it comes time for them to contribute equally, many fall short. It's a mentality rooted in a culture that tells women they deserve the best, no matter what. Whether it's in the form of romantic gestures, expensive dates, or being the center of attention, women have been conditioned to believe that they deserve to be treated like queens. The idea of earning these privileges through genuine care, effort, or mutual respect, that's optional. If you're the right guy, then it's your job to treat her like she's the best thing that's ever happened to you, no questions asked. Here's the problem. While women expect to be treated like royalty, they often fail to meet even basic relationship standards. What modern women expect: constant validation, unrelenting chivalry, grand gestures of affection, and endless emotional support. What they often give back: minimal effort, inflated egos, and a sense of entitlement. They expect to be chased, wooed, and adored. But when it's their turn to show the same level of devotion, it's often met with resistance or indifference. As a man, you're expected to show up, do the heavy lifting, and keep the relationship going while she sits back and receives. She wants the man who's financially stable, emotionally available, and willing to sacrifice his time and energy. But the return on that investment, often underwhelming. Many men find themselves pouring effort into a woman who sees the relationship as a one-way street where she takes, but rarely gives back. The problem? When you're stuck in this dynamic, you're not only neglecting your own needs, you're setting yourself up for resentment. The imbalance of effort builds frustration over time, and sooner or later, you'll realize that you're more of a servant than a partner. The worst part is, society makes you feel like this is normal. But it's not. It's the princess syndrome, and it's time to call it out for what it really is: an unrealistic, one-sided approach to relationships that will leave you emotionally drained and unfulfilled. Let's address the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to talk about: hypergamy. It's a term that many men are only beginning to understand, but it's been shaping relationships for centuries. It's more relevant today than ever. Hypergamy is the instinct for women to seek partners who are more successful, powerful, or influential than they are. It's not just some theory or red pill concept, it's biology at play. Women, by nature, are wired to seek the best possible mate who can offer the highest chances of survival, security, and status. And here's the kicker: modern culture has only amplified this instinct. In a world where social media flaunts the most successful, the most glamorous, and the most influential men, women are constantly exposed to an endless stream of better options. It's not just about who has more money or status, it's about who is seen as alpha, the man with the most power, the most influence, and the most dominance in a given social circle becomes the ideal target for women to latch onto. This is why men, especially older ones, are increasingly finding themselves left behind, replaced, or overlooked in favor of younger, more successful, or more alpha men. Think about it. You work hard for years. You build a career. You establish yourself. But when you enter a relationship, it feels like the woman you're with still views you as temporary. There's always that feeling that she's holding out for someone who can give her more power, more status, more excitement. You can give her everything you think she needs. But if you're not meeting her unspoken desire for a higher status partner, it's never enough. The truth is, hypergamy isn't just a passing trend. It's deeply ingrained in women's psychology. Women don't always settle. They are always scanning the horizon for the next better thing. If you don't understand this concept, you're at risk of being used as a stepping stone, a placeholder until something more alpha comes along. You see, hypergamy doesn't discriminate. It affects men of all ages. You might be in your 30s, 40s, or even 50s, and you've done everything right. You're a good provider, a loyal partner, and yet you feel like the rug is constantly being pulled out from under you. The woman you thought you had is suddenly more interested in the high-status guy who walks into the room. She might even justify it by saying, "I need someone who can give me more." But what's really happening is her instinct to seek a better mate is kicking in, and you, no matter how hard you've worked, might be seen as just another stepping stone. This is the reality for many men today. The most successful and dominant men often attract the most attention, and women, especially younger ones, are all too willing to trade up. It's not about you. It's about her instinct to find the best possible partner in a world that tells her to never settle. So, what does that mean for you? If you don't acknowledge hypergamy, you're setting yourself up for a world of pain. The next time you feel like you're working hard to be the perfect partner, realize this: women are not looking for perfection. They're looking for the next best thing. There's a darker side to modern relationships that most men don't realize until it's too late. Emotional manipulation. Women, just like men, have the power to use psychological tactics to influence, control, and even dominate their partners emotionally. And the most insidious part of it, many men never see it coming. One of the most common tactics used is gaslighting. It's a form of psychological manipulation where a woman makes you doubt your own reality. She twists your words, denies things she said or done, and convinces you that you're the one who's out of line. Over time, this creates a feeling of confusion and self-doubt that erodes your confidence. You start second-guessing your actions, your intentions, even your emotions. It's a slow, subtle process that leaves you questioning your own sanity. But gaslighting isn't the only emotional weapon in the arsenal. Many women will play the victim in order to shift blame and avoid taking responsibility for their actions. When a conflict arises, suddenly, it's not about the issue at hand. It's about how she's been hurt or wrong. She turns the tables. And you find yourself apologizing for things you didn't even do, just to maintain peace and avoid the emotional fallout. The issue becomes about her feelings, not the real problem you're trying to address. Then there's emotional leverage. This is the weapon of choice for many women who want to control their partner's actions. They use your feelings against your desire to be loved, accepted, or respected. They'll withhold affection, give you the silent treatment, or even threaten to leave, all in an effort to get you to comply with their demands. These power moves can leave you walking on eggshells, constantly trying to predict what will make her happy, afraid of making a misstep. The worst part? You don't even realize you're being manipulated until you're already deep in it. Many men get caught up in these emotional games, convincing themselves that they're doing the right thing by putting their partner's needs first, by being understanding and accommodating. But by the time they realize what's happening, they've already lost their sense of self. Their confidence has been chipped away, their boundaries trampled, and they're left emotionally drained, confused, and isolated. You don't have to be one of them. Recognizing these emotional manipulation tactics early can save you from a life of self-doubt and frustration. Set boundaries, trust your instincts, and never let someone use your love as a weapon against you. We've all been fed the same narrative over and over again. Women are independent. They're empowered. They don't need men to complete them. They can handle everything on their own. The media, social platforms, and even well-meaning friends repeat this mantra, presenting women as strong, self-sufficient individuals who want a partner, not a provider. And for a while, it sounds great. It sounds like the evolution of relationships. Women are no longer dependent on men. They can stand on their own 2 feet and everything is equal. But here's the reality. This story is a myth. Yes, women are more independent than ever before in many ways. But the emotional and financial expectations they place on men haven't shifted as much as society would like you to believe. What they tell you, women want a partner who's on the same level, someone who can share in the responsibilities and emotional labor. What you experience, women still expect men to pick up the slack, both emotionally and financially. Take a step back and look at the dynamics in your relationships. You're expected to provide the emotional stability, the financial security, and the heavy lifting. Even if she claims to be independent, you'll still find yourself in the position of fixing things, solving problems, and making the tough decisions. She might say, "I don't need you to take care of me." But when things go wrong, guess who's expected to step in? You. Whether it's handling a financial burden, managing conflict, or being the emotional rock during hard times, it's on you. But where's the reciprocation? This gap between what society tells us and what happens in real relationships is where men get burned. Society presents this shiny ideal of a balanced, equal partnership, but in practice, many women are still looking for men to fulfill traditional roles. They want someone who will protect, provide, and support while they focus on their careers or their social lives. But when the roles reverse, when it's time for her to step up and support you, things change. Suddenly, you're made to feel guilty for needing anything, or worse, you're left with nothing but silence and emotional distance. The frustration is real, and it's widespread. Men are waking up to the fact that this equal partnership narrative is often just a facade. The promises of emotional equality and mutual support aren't always reflected in the day-to-day reality of relationships. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself doing all the heavy lifting emotionally and financially while she reaps the rewards. When you buy into the delusion of modern relationships, the one where everything's supposed to be equal, where women are independent and self-sufficient, you're setting yourself up for a painful wake-up call. You start to believe that the promises made by society, the media, and even women themselves are true. You think that if you just work hard enough, if you meet all their expectations, things will fall into place. You're told that compromise and sacrifice are key, that a real partner will reciprocate the same energy you put into the relationship. But that's not what happens. What you don't realize is that you're not just investing your time, your energy, and your resources. You're investing your heart, your future, and your sense of self-worth. And when you pour all of that into a relationship that's based on a fantasy, the consequences are severe. Many men who fall for these delusions end up heartbroken. They've given everything to a woman who, either consciously or unconsciously, was never fully invested. She might have played the part, showed affection, made promises, told you what you wanted to hear, but when it comes time for her to step up and meet you halfway, she's nowhere to be found. And when the relationship inevitably collapses, you're left picking up the pieces of your own shattered identity. The loneliness that follows is crippling. Men in this position often find themselves questioning their worth, wondering if they weren't good enough, they didn't try hard enough, or if they missed something important. Worse, the emotional toll can leave you scarred, unable to trust your instincts or your judgment in future relationships. You lose faith in the idea of love and partnership, and begin to wonder if it's all a game one where you'll never win. But it's not just personal heartbreak you're facing. There's the societal pressure, too. Society tells you that to be a real man, you need to uphold certain ideals, be the provider, the protector, the one who makes sacrifices for the woman he loves. These outdated norms don't serve you. They only set you up for disappointment. Yet, as much as you might realize this on some level, the pressure to conform is everywhere, from your friends, from your family, and from the constant barrage of media telling you what relationships should look like. The reality? You're chasing a fantasy, and the toll it takes on your mental and emotional well-being is devastating. You don't have to be one of those men who ends up broken, confused, and lost. Recognize the delusion for what it is before it costs you everything. If you're still stuck in the illusion, constantly chasing after women who seem to want more but give less, or if you're living by outdated relationship rules that only leave you exhausted and unfulfilled, it's time for a wake-up call. The truth is, you've been fed a lie, and the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can break free from the cycle of frustration and heartbreak that many men live in. It's time to take the red pill. This isn't just a catchy term. It's a mindset shift, a reality check that will change the way you see yourself, women, and relationships as a whole. The red pill is about understanding the truth of human nature, especially the dynamics between men and women, and rejecting the illusions and false narratives that society has pushed on you. This means seeing things as they really are, not how they've been sold to you. Modern women may talk about wanting equality, independence, and partnership, but many are still driven by deep-rooted instincts and expectations that don't align with the fairy tale you've been told. Hypergamy, emotional manipulation, and the princess syndrome are all real forces that you need to understand if you want to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. It's not about rejecting women. It's about rejecting the delusions that are sabotaging your happiness. The first step in taking the red pill is to stop playing by their rules. Break free from the societal expectations that tell you to put women's needs above your own, to constantly prove your worth, and to cater to unrealistic demands. It's time to reclaim control over your life. Take back your time, your energy, and your emotions. Focus on your own goals and self-improvement, because the truth is, women are attracted to men who have their own purpose and direction. Think about it. When you stop chasing after validation and start living for yourself, you become the kind of man who commands respect. You're no longer at the mercy of someone else's emotional games or shifting expectations. You're living on your terms, setting clear boundaries, and choosing the women who align with your values, not the ones who only see you as a stepping stone to their next big thing. The red pill is about taking control, not just in relationships, but in your entire life. It's about understanding that you don't need to sacrifice yourself to fit into a narrative that was never meant for you. Reclaim your happiness, your confidence, and your sense of self. Start thinking differently. Break free from the illusions, and choose a life that puts your own well-being first. If you want to break free from the cycle of delusion and disappointment, it starts with building a new mindset, one grounded in reality, not fairy tale expectations. The old way of thinking is what's holding you back. For too long, you've been conditioned to believe that relationships are about sacrifice, constant validation, and giving more than you receive. It's time to flip the script. A healthy mindset begins with self-empowerment. This means understanding your own value, not measuring your worth by how much you can do for someone else. When you start seeing yourself as the prize, you set the tone for your relationships. You stop chasing after validation and start attracting women who value you for who you truly are, not just what you can provide. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's knowing your worth and not settling for less. Next, you need critical thinking. Don't accept what society tells you about relationships as gospel. Just because it's what you're supposed to want doesn't mean it's what's best for you. Learn to ask the tough questions about your partner's true intentions, their actions, and whether they truly align with your goals. Setting boundaries is crucial. You need to protect your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Don't let anyone, especially a woman, dictate your worth or make you feel guilty for wanting what you deserve. A relationship should be a partnership of equals, not a one-sided exchange. Without this new mindset, you risk being stuck in the cycle of delusion and disappointment forever. Break free now. Take control. Trust your instincts, and choose partners who respect your boundaries and bring value to your life. This is the key to lasting happiness and fulfillment. The choice is yours. You can continue to live in delusion, chasing after relationships built on unrealistic expectations and false promises. Or you can take the red pill and build a life based on truth, self-respect, and empowerment. It's time to stop playing by their rules and start making decisions that benefit you. Don't wait until it's too late. Shift your mindset, set your boundaries. Take control of your happiness today. If you're ready to stop being manipulated and start living for yourself, subscribe, join the conversation, and share your experiences. You're not alone in this journey. Let's break free together.